I felt the needle pierce my neck as I stood at the railing of the Sky Bridge observation deck in Kuala Lumpur. The city lights spread below us like a carpet of stars. My champagne flute slipped from my fingers as my legs buckled, but I didn't cry out. 30 feet down, I caught the maintenance platform's edge, my body wedged between steel beams, hidden from view above by the curved architecture. My vision blurred from whatever my son-in-law had injected, my 67-year-old hands trembling as I fought to stay conscious. Above me, I heard Michael's voice, urgent but measured. "Rebecca, come quick!" A pause. Then his tone shifted to something rehearsed, almost practiced. Thomas collapsed. "I think it's a stroke." Oh God. He went over the edge before I could grab him. I hung there in the humid Malaysian night, my body going numb, and made a decision that would change everything. I wouldn't call out. I wouldn't let them pull me up. I needed to know what Michael would do when he thought I was gone, what he would say to my daughter when he believed no one else was listening. Let me back up. 72 hours earlier, I'd been standing in a penthouse suite in Chicago, signing the papers that transferred Blackstone Energy Solutions, the renewable energy company I'd built from scratch over 35 years, to a Japanese conglomerate for $175 million. My daughter Rebecca had flown in from Boston for the closing. She stood beside me, her hand on my shoulder as I initialed the final page. "Congratulations, Dad," she said, and I heard the tremor in her voice. Mom would be dancing right now. My wife, Margaret, had been gone 7 years. An aneurysm, sudden and cruel. She'd always said I was married to my work, that I'd miss our life while I was busy building an empire. She'd been right, as she usually was. "I'm done," I told Rebecca as we walked out of the law firm. "Really done. No consulting gigs, no board positions. I want to live, not just exist." Rebecca smiled, but something flickered in her eyes. At 39, she ran a boutique marketing agency in Boston, pulling the same 70-hour weeks I had. Her husband, Michael, managed their finances and investments. They seemed happy enough, though I'd noticed tension at last Thanksgiving. "That sounds wonderful, Dad. I wish I could just come with me to Malaysia," I cut in. 10 days. "I've always wanted to see Kuala Lumpur, and your mother had that photo of the Petronas Towers on her desk for years. Remember? She'd never been. And neither have I." Rebecca hesitated, already reaching for her phone. "Dad, I don't know if I can leave the Hoffman campaign. We're in the final push. And, Becca," I used her childhood name, "when your mother died, I was in Frankfurt at a conference. She called me that morning, said she had a headache. I told her to take some aspirin and that I'd call her after my presentation." My voice cracked. I never got to call her back. "Don't make my mistakes." She looked at me, really looked, and something in her face softened. "Okay," she said quietly. 10 days. I'd booked the presidential suite at the Mandarin Oriental, with views of the Petronas Towers. I invited a small group, Rebecca and Michael, my attorney Caroline Zhang, who'd been with me since the early days, and my nephew Brandon, son of my late sister Linda. Linda had died of cancer when Brandon was 19, and I'd helped put him through business school. He'd joined Blackstone 5 years ago as director of operations, and he had a sharp mind for systems and efficiency. Rebecca had actually suggested him for the role. They'd been close growing up, more like siblings than cousins. "This is going to be epic, Uncle Thomas," Brandon said when I told him about the trip. "You've earned this. 35 years of grinding, and now you finally get to enjoy what you've built." I should have noticed something in how he said, "enjoy what you've built." Looking back, there was a hunger there, an assumption. But I was too caught up in my own plans to see it. We arrived in Kuala Lumpur on a Saturday. The hotel was everything the photos promised, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the illuminated towers, marble bathrooms, a private terrace with a hot tub. Rebecca actually put her laptop away when she saw the view. "Dad, this is incredible." Caroline arrived an hour later, looking uncomfortable in vacation clothes. She'd brought her tablet, naturally. "Just in case something comes up with the sale," she said, apologetically. Michael and Brandon were the last to arrive, coming together from the airport. Michael had brought gifts, a bottle of Macallan 25 for me, a jade bracelet for Rebecca. To celebrate new beginnings, he said, raising his glass at dinner that first night. We ate on the terrace as the city lights flickered on. Our private chef, a local woman named Aisha, served us Malaysian specialties, rendang, satay, nasi, lemak. She moved with quiet efficiency, speaking only when addressed. I've been thinking about legacy, I said as we watched the Petronas Towers light up across the skyline. What to do with the money? I want to create something meaningful, maybe a foundation supporting clean energy startups in developing countries. That's generous, Thomas, Michael said. He worked as a wealth manager, had built a successful practice managing high net worth portfolios. Have you considered the estate implications? With proper structuring, you could preserve significantly more capital. I'm not trying to preserve capital, Michael. I'm trying to use it wisely. Of course. He leaned forward. But you should think about asset protection, liability shields. Have you updated your estate documents? Named successor trustees? These details matter, especially with this magnitude of wealth. Rebecca frowned. Michael, this is supposed to be a vacation. You're right. He raised his glass again. To Thomas, to family. We drank. But I noticed Michael watching me over the rim, calculating something. The next morning, I woke early and found Brandon on the terrace. Laptop open, spreadsheets glowing on the screen. Couldn't sleep? I asked. He jumped slightly, minimized the window quickly. Just going over some personal finance stuff. Old habits. I know the feeling. I poured coffee from the carafe Aisha had left. What are you working on? Nothing important. He paused. Actually, Uncle Thomas, since you mentioned estate planning last night, I've been researching. Did you realize that without proper documentation and trust structures, estate taxes could consume nearly 40% of your net worth? Rebecca could lose $70 million. I sat down across from him. That's why I have Caroline. She's been my attorney for 20 years. Sure, but Caroline specializes in corporate law, not estate planning. And she's what, 68? What if something happens to her? He leaned in. You need redundancy. A younger executor who understands modern wealth management. Someone who could help Rebecca navigate everything if, God forbid, something happened to you. There it was. That edge. That assumption of my mortality. Brandon, I said carefully, I appreciate the concern, but I'm healthy. I run 4 miles 3 times a week. My cardiologist says I have the cardiovascular system of a 50-year-old. Obviously, I didn't mean. He laughed, but it sounded forced. I'm just saying proper planning matters. That's all. I left him there and went to find Rebecca. She was in the pool, swimming laps with fierce determination. I sat on the edge and waited. Dad, you're staring, she said, pulling off her goggles. I'm admiring my daughter. Is that a crime? She smiled and pulled herself out. What's wrong? Does Michael seem different to you lately? More interested in my money than usual? Rebecca wrapped herself in a towel. Michael's always been financially focused. It's what makes him good at his job. She paused. Why? Did he say something? He's very concerned about my estate planning. Very concerned about what happens if I die. Dad, that's not. She stopped. He's probably just trying to be helpful. You did just sell your company for a fortune. Maybe. But something felt wrong. An instinct honed by 35 years of negotiations and business betrayals. I'd learned to trust that feeling. That afternoon, Michael suggested we all visit the Batu Caves. Caroline declined, claiming she needed to review some documents. Brandon was game, and Rebecca wanted to see the Hindu temples. We drove through Kuala Lumpur's traffic, Michael keeping up a steady commentary about the city's history, about Malaysian culture, about everything and nothing. At the caves, we climbed the 272 rainbow-colored steps. I noticed Michael barely broke a sweat while Rebecca and I were breathing hard. At the top, he pulled out his phone. Let me get a photo of you two. Becca, stand next to your dad. Rebecca put her arm around me, and we smiled. Michael snapped several shots, then said, Uncle Thomas, how about one of just you? You know, to commemorate this moment, your first week of retirement, in one of the most beautiful places on earth. I walked to the railing that overlooked the cave opening. The drop was maybe 100 feet to the cave floor below. The smell of incense drifted up from the temples. Perfect, Michael said. Now turn and look at the view. I want to capture your expression. I turned my back to him, looking out at the jungle canopy. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Close. Too close. Michael? Rebecca's voice. Uncertain. Just getting the right angle, he said. I felt him move behind me, felt the shift in air pressure. My Marine Corps training from 45 years ago kicked in. I stepped sideways just as hands reached for my back. Michael stumbled forward, catching himself on the railing. Whoa there. I grabbed his arm. Careful. These stones are slippery. His face was flushed, breathing heavy. Sorry. I lost my balance. The heat, but his shoes had good tread, and the stone was dry. And his eyes, for just a second, I saw something there. Rage. Disappointment. We drove back in silence. That night at dinner, Michael was overly attentive, constantly refilling my wine glass, suggesting we try the local spirits, insisting I relax and celebrate. I poured half my drinks into the potted plants when he wasn't looking. Paranoid, maybe, but I hadn't built a successful company by ignoring red flags. The next day was my actual birthday. Aisha prepared a special dinner she'd somehow found out and created an elaborate Malaysian feast. Michael insisted we have it on the terrace at sunset. The best view for the guest of honor, he said. Caroline joined us, bearing a gift, a first edition of The Old Man and the Sea, one of my favorites. Rebecca gave me a framed photo of the three of us, her, me, and Margaret, from when Rebecca was 10. We'd been at Yellowstone, one of the rare vacations I'd actually taken. I found it in Mom's things, she said. I thought you'd like it. I held it, remembering that day. Margaret's joy. Rebecca's gap-toothed grin. The life I'd been too busy to fully appreciate. Thank you, sweetheart, I managed. Michael cleared his throat. And my gift, Thomas. He produced a wooden box. I had this imported specially. A 1956 Chateau d'Yquem. Your birth year. Margaret and I had shared a bottle on our 40th anniversary, just a year before she died. He poured carefully into crystal glasses. The wine was golden. Perfect. I raised it to my lips. Stop! Aisha's voice, sharp and sudden. She'd come out to clear plates and stood frozen, staring at Michael. Everyone turned. Her face went pale. She said something in Malay and hurried back inside. What was that about? Rebecca asked. Michael laughed nervously. No idea. Cultural superstition, maybe? But I'd seen Aisha's face. She'd been afraid. Of Michael? Of the wine? I set my glass down. You know what? I'm feeling a bit off. Too much sun, maybe. Michael, I appreciate the gesture, but I think I'll stick with water. Michael's smile tightened. Come on, Thomas. One glass. It's your birthday? I went to considerable trouble. I said no. My voice had more edge than intended. Silence fell. Rebecca looked between us, confused. Caroline's eyes narrowed. Michael stood abruptly. Fine. I need some air anyway. He walked to the edge of the terrace. I followed. Michael, I didn't mean to snap. It's fine. He stared out at the city lights, hands gripping the railing. Uncle Thomas, can I ask you something, hypothetically? Sure. If someone, let's say a person who'd worked hard their whole life, had a chance to secure their future, to never worry again, but it required making difficult choices, would you judge them? That depends on what difficult choices means. He turned to face me. What if Rebecca couldn't handle $175 million? What if she made poor investments? Wouldn't it be better if someone with actual financial expertise managed it? Rebecca is perfectly capable, but what if she's not? What if she's too trusting, too idealistic? He paused. Wouldn't it be better if He stopped himself. If you what, Michael? He looked at me for a long moment. I saw it clearly now, the calculation, the resentment, the hunger of a man who'd spent his life managing other people's wealth while building none of his own. Nothing, he said finally. Forget I said anything. He walked inside. I stayed there, gripping the railing, my heart pounding. I found Aisha in the kitchen, hands shaking as she washed dishes. You saw something, I said quietly. At dinner. What was it? She shook her head, wouldn't meet my eyes. Aisha, please. I need to know. She glanced at the doorway, then back at me. In broken English mixed with Malay, she told me. She'd seen Michael earlier, in the pantry, grinding something into the wine bottle. She'd been getting herbs from the storage closet, and he hadn't noticed her. He'd been muttering to himself in English. She didn't understand all of it, but she caught phrases. Just needs to look natural. Heart attack at his age. Finally get what we deserve. My blood ran cold. Why didn't you tell me immediately? He is family. You would believe him, not me. I am just... She trailed off. She was right. Without proof, it was her word against my daughter's husband. Aisha, does the building have security cameras? She nodded. In kitchen, in hallway, not on terrace. Can you show me the footage from this afternoon? We went to her small office off the kitchen. The camera covered the wine storage area. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Michael entering, looking around, pulling the Chateau d'Yquem from the rack. He set it on the counter, pulled a small vial from his pocket, carefully ground white powder into a fine dust, opened the wine with a corkscrew, poured the powder in, recorked it. The whole process took maybe 90 seconds. Can you save this? I asked. Yes. I send email now. And Aisha, don't tell anyone about this. Not yet. I went back to the terrace. Caroline had left. Rebecca was on her phone, probably checking client emails. Michael sat in the corner, watching me with those calculating eyes. Becca, I said, let's take a walk. We walked down to the hotel gardens, out of earshot. Dad, what's going on? You've been acting strange. How could I tell her? How could I explain that the man she'd married, the man she'd built a life with, was trying to kill me? I think Michael has a gambling problem, I said instead. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was adjacent. I think he's in serious debt, and I think he's desperate. Rebecca frowned. What makes you think that? The questions about my estate, the pushiness about being executor. I stopped. I can't explain everything right now. I just need you to trust me. Can you do that? She studied my face. Dad, if you're worried about Michael, why don't we just go home early? Fly out tomorrow? Because I need to know how far he'll go. I need proof. Proof of what? Before I could answer, Michael appeared on the terrace above us. There you are. Come on, Uncle Thomas. You can't skip your birthday entirely. Let me at least get a photo of you with the city lights. They're perfect right now. Rebecca started toward the terrace, but I caught her arm. Wait here, please. Dad, trust me. I climbed back up alone. Michael stood at the terrace railing, phone in hand. Come over here, Thomas. The composition is perfect with the towers in the background. I walked toward him slowly, watching his body language. He raised his phone, framing the shot. A little closer to the railing, he said, I want to get the full skyline. The railing was waist high. The terrace was on the 42nd floor. One good push, and there was nothing but air and concrete below. I moved closer. Perfect, Michael said. Now turn around. Look at the view. I want to capture your expression. I turned my back to him, heard his footsteps. Closer, closer. Michael! Caroline's voice sharp. She'd come back onto the terrace. I need Thomas for a moment. Legal question about the foundation paperwork. Michael froze. Can it wait? I'm trying to. It can't wait. Thomas. My room in 5 minutes. I turned around. Michael's face was tight with frustration. Sure, Caroline. Whatever you need. I met Caroline in her suite. Thank you, I said. Something's wrong, she said. I've known you for 20 years, Thomas. What's happening? I told her everything. The wine, Aisha's footage, the attempts to get me near dangerous edges. Caroline's face darkened as she listened. We need to call the authorities. Tell them what? That my son-in-law gave me a glass of wine? That he wanted a photo at a scenic spot? I shook my head. Without proof of what he put in that wine, without catching him in the act, we have nothing. Then what do you propose? I thought about it. I need him to show his hand. I need him to try again, with witnesses, with undeniable proof. That's insane. You're talking about using yourself as bait. It's the only way. I looked at her. Will you help me? She was quiet for a long moment. Margaret would kill me if she knew I was agreeing to this. Margaret would understand. We made our plan. Tomorrow, we'd visit the Sky Bridge at the Patronus Towers. Michael had suggested it twice already. I would let him try whatever he was planning, but Caroline and Aisha would be watching. We'd set up Aisha's phone to record from inside the observation deck, pointed at us through the glass. If Michael tried something, we'd have proof. I found Michael in the hotel bar, nursing a whiskey. Hey, I said. Sorry about earlier. Caroline was being paranoid about foundation paperwork. Let's do that Skybridge visit tomorrow. I'd really like to see it. His eyes lit up. Really? That's great. The sunset views are supposed to be incredible. Let's go right before sunset then. While the light's still good. The next evening, we took the hotel car to the Patronus Towers. The Sky Bridge connects the two towers at the 41st floor, 558 feet above the ground. Brandon had begged off, claiming he wasn't good with heights. Caroline came, pretending casual interest. We rode the elevator up in silence. My heart hammered. Every instinct screamed to run. But I forced myself to stay calm. The observation deck was magnificent. Glass walls. Views stretching across Kuala Lumpur to the jungle beyond. I could see Aisha inside near the gift shop. Her phone camera pointed subtly at the bridge. This is incredible, Rebecca said, moving to the windows. Uncle Thomas, come stand at the railing, Michael said. Let me get a shot of you with both towers in frame. I walked to the railing. The bridge swayed slightly. It was designed to handle wind stress. The city spread out below us. Tiny cars like toys. Michael followed. Phone raised. Turn around. Look at the view. I turned my back to him. Caroline stood near the entrance, watching. I saw her tense as Michael put his phone in his pocket. I felt him move behind me. Felt something sharp against my neck. Then the needle. My legs buckled. The world tilted. I fell forward, my hands catching the railing, then slipping. I went over, but I'd positioned myself carefully. 30 feet down, there was a maintenance platform for window washers. I hit it hard, the impact knocking the wind out of me. I wedged myself between the steel beams, out of sight from above. Whatever Michael had injected was working fast. My vision blurred. My muscles went weak. I fought to stay conscious. Above me, Michael's voice. Rebecca, come quick. A pause. Thomas collapsed. I think it's a stroke. Oh, God. He went over the edge before I could grab him. Footsteps. Rebecca's scream. Dad! Dad! Michael again. He grabbed his neck and went over. It happened so fast. We need to call for help. Wait. Rebecca's voice, sharp through her hysteria. What's in your hand? What? Nothing. Michael, what's in your hand? A pause. It's just, that's a syringe. Michael, that's a fucking syringe. What did you do? Becca, calm down. Let me explain. Stay away from me. Caroline, call security. Rebecca, listen. Just listen. Michael's voice changed, became urgent, pleading. Your father was going to give it all away. All of it. $175 million to strangers, to charity projects, to people who didn't earn it. We've been living on my salary while he sits on a fortune. Don't you see? We deserve this. We deserve. Rebecca's voice broke. You tried to kill my father. I was protecting our future. Protecting you. Do you know what it's like managing other people's wealth while we pinch pennies? Watching them throw money away on vacation homes and yachts while we're in a 2-bedroom condo? So you tried to murder him. I tried to secure what should be ours. His voice rose. I'm your husband. I've supported you for 15 years. That money should come to you, and what's yours is mine. That's marriage. What did you inject him with? Silence. Michael, what did you inject him with? It was supposed to simulate a stroke, untraceable. He would have just gone to sleep, fallen. At his age, at this height, no one would have questioned it. You practiced this. Rebecca's voice was cold now, deadly. You've been planning this. Since he sold the company, yes. Since I realized he was going to waste our inheritance on charity. It's not our inheritance. It's his money. And when he's gone, it becomes yours. Ours. Don't you see? I did this for us. I hung there on the platform, my vision darkening, listening to my son-in-law confess to my murder. I wanted to feel triumphant. Instead, I just felt sad. Caroline's voice joined the chaos above. Michael Chen, don't move. Building security is on the way, and I've recorded this entire conversation. You can't, Caroline. You're a corporate lawyer. You don't have authority. I'm also his power of attorney, and I've just witnessed attempted murder. Thomas, are you all right down there? I tried to call up, but my voice wouldn't work. The drug was strong. I managed a weak help. He's alive, Rebecca's sob. Dad, hold on. It took 3 of them, Caroline, Rebecca, and a security guard, to pull me back over the railing. I collapsed on the observation deck, every muscle twitching from whatever Michael had injected. Rebecca threw her arms around me, sobbing. Dad, oh God, Dad. Michael stood against the glass wall, face ashen. A security guard had his arm. This isn't I can explain. The syringe was for... Save it, Caroline said. I have video, audio, and a witness. She looked at Aisha, who'd emerged from the gift shop. Actually, 2 witnesses. The police arrived 12 minutes later, along with paramedics. They tested my blood midazolam, a sedative that would have rendered me unconscious before the fall. Combined with the height and my age, it would have looked like a tragic accident, maybe a heart attack or stroke that caused me to fall. They arrested Michael on the spot. He didn't look at me as they led him away in handcuffs. He looked at the floor, at his hands, at anywhere but my eyes. I spent 2 days in a Malaysian hospital, recovering from the drug. Rebecca never left my side. On the 3rd day, as they prepared my discharge, she finally spoke about it. I brought him into your life, she said quietly. I married him. I should have seen. You didn't know, I said. How could you? The signs were there. He was always comparing our life to others, always talking about what we deserved. I thought it was just normal frustration with money. I thought, her voice broke. I almost lost you because I was blind. You didn't lose me. I'm right here. Why didn't you tell me what you suspected? Because I wasn't sure. Because I didn't want to poison you against your husband if I was wrong. I paused. And because I knew if I told you, you'd try to stop me from getting proof. And we needed that proof. You used yourself as bait. That was incredibly stupid. It was. She laughed through her tears. Mom would have killed you. Your mother probably is killing me, wherever she is. We sat in silence. Then Rebecca said, I'm filing for divorce. Obviously. I'm sorry. Don't be. You saved me from spending my life with a man who valued money over everything. She squeezed my hand. And Dad, I'm taking 6 months off, maybe a year. I want to actually live, not just work. You were right. Mom was right. My throat tightened. I'd like that. And the foundation idea? I want to help, not just with money, with time. Real time. We spent the next 3 weeks in Malaysia while the legal proceedings unfolded. Michael was charged with attempted murder, conspiracy, and a host of other crimes. Caroline worked with local attorneys to navigate the international legal complexities. It turned out Michael had forged some of my signatures on documents, trying to make himself a beneficiary. He'd been planning this for months. Rebecca and I talked, really talked, for the first time in years. I told her about my childhood in Detroit, about meeting her mother at a college mixer, about the early days of Blackstone when we worked out of a garage. She told me about her marriage, how Michael had slowly changed, becoming more focused on status and wealth, how she'd ignored it because she was too busy with work. On our last day in Kuala Lumpur, we went back to the Sky Bridge. Someone had left flowers at the spot where I'd gone over. A note in Malay, where miracles happen. Aisha had done it. This is an important place, she said when I thanked her. You choose life over death. You choose truth over easy lie. I stood there with Rebecca, looking out at the city. You know what I thought about when I was hanging on that platform? I said. I thought about all the moments I'd missed. All the dance recitals, all the graduations, all the times I chose a conference call over a conversation. And I thought, If I survive this, I'm going to make different choices. Rebecca leaned her head on my shoulder. So what's first? First, we finish this foundation together. And second, I turned to her. Do you remember when you were 12 and wanted to learn to sail, but I said, we didn't have time? I remember. You were disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in you. I was disappointed in myself for being too busy. I smiled. So now I'm asking, what do you want to do, Rebecca? Not what you think you should do. What would make you happy? She thought about it for a long time. I want to use marketing for good. I want to work with nonprofits, help organizations that actually matter. I want my skills to mean something beyond selling products. Then that's what you'll do. Just like that? Just like that. Life's too short for anything else. The foundation launched 8 months later. The Margaret Brennan Foundation for Clean Energy Innovation, named after my wife. Rebecca designed the branding herself, created a beautiful website, used her agency contacts to get us press coverage. We funded 47 startups the first year in 12 different countries. Michael pleaded guilty to attempted murder to avoid trial. The judge gave him 23 years in a Malaysian prison. At sentencing, the judge said, "You didn't just try to kill your father-in-law. You tried to kill trust, loyalty, family bonds. May you spend your time imprisoned learning the value of what you destroyed." I went to see him once, 6 months into his sentence. We sat across from each other in the visiting room, neither speaking for a long moment. Finally, he said, "I suppose you want an apology." "No," I said. "An apology would mean you understand what you did wrong. I don't think you do." "I wanted security." "Is that so terrible? Wanting security?" "No." "Being willing to kill for it?" "Yes." I leaned forward. "Michael, if you'd come to me and said you were struggling, that you needed help, I would have helped you. But you didn't want help. You wanted to take... There's a difference. Easy for you to say. You've never struggled." I laughed, though there was no humor in it. I worked 80-hour weeks for 35 years. I missed my daughter's childhood. I barely saw my wife before she died. Success doesn't mean I didn't struggle. It means I chose what to struggle for. I stood. I hope someday you understand that. I never saw him again. Rebecca and I have dinner together 3 times a week now. We take trips so far. We've been to New Zealand, Iceland, and Vietnam. We don't talk much about business. We talk about books, about ideas, about memories of Margaret. We talk about what matters. Last month, Rebecca called me at 2 in the morning. "Dad, I'm sorry to wake you, but I had to tell you. I'm pregnant. I'm going to be a grandfather. And this time, I'm going to be there. For every moment, every ultrasound, every birth class, every 3 a.m. feeding. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because I've learned what Margaret tried to teach me all along. Success isn't measured in dollars or deals or empires. It's measured in moments, in presence, in love. I'm sitting on my balcony now, watching the fog roll in over San Francisco Bay, thinking about sky bridges and maintenance platforms and the choices that define us. Thinking about a son-in-law consumed by greed and a daughter learning to choose life over work. Thinking about second chances and how rare they are. If there's a lesson in all this, it's simple. Hold on. When life pushes you over the edge, find something to grab onto. And when you pull yourself back up, make sure you're climbing towards something worth the effort. Family, love, time. These are the things worth holding on to. Everything else you can let fall.